am going to show you how to organize your seeds. You got your catalog, you went online, you maybe went a little crazy in order to grow seeds. Maybe you're a small farm like we are, or maybe you just have a really big garden. But I think this system works really, really well for either of those scenarios. So a couple things. This is me all done. I unboxed my Johnny's order and I organized everything. So a couple things you're gonna need are these photo storage cases. You can get them on Amazon. I know everybody's saying you should get them, but really you should. They're amazing. I have 2 of them, and I did them last year. Everything's all labeled and organized. I'll show you how I did it. Also, having a catalog that you ordered from is really helpful, or you can pull it up on your phone. You're going to need some sheets of loose paper or a notebook. These are info sheets that are going to get 3-hole punched. I also really like to use a binder, loose leaf binder. I have a planting chart on the front, and this is where I keep everything, all of my notes. I also keep, this is where all of this will be transferred into. And I also have my bed charts for both plot 1 and plot 2 and all my other ones. So that is another thing you're going to need. Rubber bands, helpful. Little Post-its are good. A pen, a pencil, a marker. And in my case, I had a lot of self-saved seeds for the really big packets. Like, look, I've got all this stuff I was just sitting there. Something like this that you can just pop them into. And I also have very large packs of peas that we're not going to fit in here. So a storage container for those. And then this I'll talk about in a little bit. We are going really big on cut flowers this year, just to kind of see where we can go with it. So they did not fit in here. I'll show you where I have the rest of them. But this is all of my direct seed flowers. Some of them are self-saved. They are all organized by when they need to be sown, and they are kept separately from the rest of it. So I'm going to walk you through today. Excuse my children playing in the background. I'm going to walk you through and just show you how to actually plan out your seeds. I'm not even talking about planning out your garden. That is a thing that we'll do in another video. This is just organizing yourself so you know when you need to be sowing, what and where you need to be sowing it. So let's take our seeds and make them look organized.
So as you can see, I'm unboxing a huge order from Johnny's, and what I'm doing is simply putting them into piles based on the category so that I can then put them in the appropriate case. Obviously, do this however it makes sense to you, but this is what I do first. You're just sorting them so that you're able to put them away in an organized fashion in their appropriate box. I'm also putting all of my flowers off to the side, and I will show you next how I organize those. But the very first step is to just get them into the cases and get them nice and organized.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how I sort my flowers. So these are all cut flowers that I ordered, which we're doing a lot more of this year. And I will do this with the vegetables as well, but for now, this is what I have. So we do have a pack of perennials. So these are going to go in a separate area. Okay. I've got some echinacea. I've got blue glitter, which is a sea holly, which I was really excited to find out was a perennial. I've got some feverfew and some summer pastel yarrow, which is really beautiful. So these are going to go in a separate area in the cut flower garden. So the rest of these are all annuals. And what I am doing, because our greenhouse space is limited, and because I'm going to try to plant out anything that can direct seed, it'll mean it's not going to come to fruition until a little bit later, but we've started our flower CSA later in the season to accommodate for that. So I'm going to look at the back, and if it doesn't say, we've got directions for transplant, and we have direct seed after last frost, which is almost always what flowers are going to say, anything that's an annual. So, like, I know cosmos do really well if you just throw them in the ground. So I'm not going to worry about these. This is my direct seed if I turn over something like an aster, this is our Tower Custom mix from Johnny's that did really well last year. I'm going to look and it says transplant recommended. So, okay, this needs to go in a seed tray. And then what I'm going to do, sow in 72 cell flats 6 to 8 weeks before last frost. So I'm going to transfer that information to the front. That just means when I go to start plants out in the greenhouse, I know, okay, this is 6 to 8 weeks. And then I'm going to arrange them by how soon they need to go in. So this is 3 to 4 weeks. So this can go in the back because that can be started later. So I'm just going to go through here. I have Nigella and a crazy flower. Direct seed is recommended on these. That's awesome. And this is early spring. So I can actually put those on top because those are going to be planted first. So I'm just going to go through each and every one. Transplant, it doesn't say, oh, direct seed is not recommended. So, okay. 8 weeks. 8 weeks. That's going to go on top. So I'm just going to go through each one, do that with all of these. Direct seed is not recommended on these ones. And this is 8 to 10 weeks. So this, I need to start really pretty soon. So this is going to go on top. So again, I'm going to just go through all of these, sort them, put the ones that need to be started first on top. And then what I'm actually going to do is in my notebook, I am going to write a list. I'm going to count out 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks from my last frost date. And I'm going to write a list of everything that needs to be started in seed cells so that I know, okay, this is what I need to do this week. So I'll be doing this for flowers first. So I have them sorted because they don't fit in my little containers. I have all of my seeds sorted so far, although I do have some seeds that need to be ordered later because Johnny's didn't have them available just yet. And then I will go through and I'll do the same thing with all of these. So things like my summer squashes and winter squash, things like that are all going to be started in seed trays, and I need to know how soon I need to get them in. So that's it. That's how I keep this organized and keep myself from going insane. Okay, so now that I have all of my flower seeds at least sorted by number of weeks they needed to be started before my last frost date, I also write like important information or things that will help me easily identify them. So these are little like drumstick flowers. They also specifically say to cover with a light vermiculite and then size them up to a pot. So those things are just going to help me when I go to plant out. And for someone like me who has a very small greenhouse and it grows a lot of things, including a CSA for other people, I really need to be on top of my game when it comes to starting seeds, when to start them. So this has been my method. I did this last year and it worked really, really well for me. So I have a notebook that I keep all of my plot outlines in. But I also do, I do a sheet for each number of weeks before my last frost date. So my last frost date is May 30th. That's usually around when it is, which is Memorial Day around here. So 10 weeks before that, I counted back 10 weeks, is about March 21st. So now I know this is what needs to be happening on this week. This is what needs to go into seed trays. And all right, so 10 weeks before, all I have is my snapdragons. So I have snapdragons. And a lot of times, so this is a 20 row flat. So I'm going to write greenhouse. But really what I will do is most of these will be started, I'll put the seed trays inside in the warmth, unless they specifically say something like, one of these says it needs to have sunlight to germinate. But most seeds do better if you leave them inside where it's nice and warm. They can germinate, and I'll just stack all my trays up inside, and it will be a great way to get all the seeds started. And then as soon as the seedlings start to emerge, I'll pop them in the greenhouse. Okay, so now we're on week 8, which is about April 4th. And one of the other things I do to really get a good sense of, I'm gonna put these facing down because they need to be started first. One of the other things I do is keep the Johnny's catalog nearby because it has incredible information about sowing, harvesting, pests, what to do, what not to do, how to cultivate them, what diseases to look for. It's just a really awesome thing to have around. And I use this almost like my Bible, basically, when I'm planting. Because I'm a relatively newer farmer and I don't just know things off the top of my head, even though I've been gardening and planting a garden since I was literally a child. I still need the extra bits of information that these things have. I also really like to read up on the varieties that I chose. So for example, this is 8 weeks. I don't really know what this is. I do know that this is a flower. So I'm gonna go to the flower section. Should be back here after tomatoes. And a lot of these have the common name on the back. So for example, these are Centaura. They're just bachelor's buttons. I flipped that over and put them on the front because that's so much easier for me to be like, oh, okay, I know exactly what this is. I don't know the Latin name for everything.
I just need to go up.
One of the other things I do, so because I have a non-heated greenhouse, if something says 6 to 8 weeks, like this one does, I'm gonna go for the less weeks so that the greenhouse is a bit warmer. It's not gonna provide a ton of protection from the cold. I mean, I will start all of these indoors and I'll just stack the seed trays, and as soon as they sprout, I'll put them out into the greenhouse. Or I'll stack them in a sunny window and then I'll move them out into the greenhouse in a week or so. But a lot of these, as we get towards 6 weeks, the greenhouse should be warm enough that I can just leave them in there once they've sprouted. So I'm doing we'll do indoors. And then I'm also, around this time, we're looking at 6 weeks out, is about April 18th for me. And I should be able to work the ground no problem by that point. So I'm also going to look at things that need to be started outside. So if I look at my direct seed packet here, I've got all of my plants that can be directly seeded. These are all my flowers. Again, we're just working on flowers. Bachelor's buttons, as soon as soil can be worked. So this is a good one. And honestly, I could probably start these a little sooner, and I'm gonna double check around last year when I was able to get into the soil. But I'm just gonna put bachelor's buttons. So I know that those can be started outside pretty early. One of the other things I do with the Johnny's catalog is, like, I use this thing like a Bible. It has so much information in here, and I need to be able to look back. So I circle through. I have one that's very marked up, so I'm excited that they sent me a new one. So I'm actually going to look this up. Oh, great. Thanks, honey. And what's nice is everything is alphabetical, especially when you're talking about flowers. So I have celosia, and I'm going to look for it. It should be in here. Here we go. And I'm going to look at what I specifically have. I have the Pampas Plume, which is right here, this beautiful, colorful mix. So I'm going to circle what it looks like, and then I'm also going to put a little star
Here we go. I'm gonna put a little star next to the variety that I have. So if I do need a little more information, I can look up all that I need to know here. Again, they have this amazing information all at the bottom. Let me turn this up so you can see it a little bit. Transplant recommended, and it has all of this sowing and growing information right here. They've got great charts on, which things have the most yield, so that you can look back and decide which one you want and which is going to be the best fit for you. So again, I'm going at the lesser, and I also wrote on the front what size seed tray this needs. I also try to, light is required for germination. That's a really important fact. So I'm gonna put that on the front of the packet. Light required. And I'm gonna write it on my list so that when I go to sow these in my 72 seed trays, I know not to stack another tray on top of this. This needs to go directly into sunlight. So I will just put it in a sunny window. So I have my Celosia, Pampas Plume, and I'm gonna put 72 cell, light required. And that's really pretty much it. Like I said, I'll fill this out with flowers, but I also am gonna go through my all of my vegetable seeds as well and look at what that needs. When you're talking about working in a really small greenhouse like we have and a limited number of seed trays, although this year I now have my very exciting soil blocks. So I'm really excited to use these this year, especially for a lot of these things that need to be potted up or transplanted out that you don't want to disturb the roots. Things like pumpkins. We lost most of our pumpkins last year. They got root bound and really destroyed, and then we got a ton of heavy rain, and I want to give them a much better chance this year. So I'm really excited to be using the seed blocks this year. But this is really how you have to do this, because I need to know what needs to go in what tray, and vegetables are always going to get top priority. So if I run out of seed trays and I look ahead and say, oh, in another week, on week 4 or 5, I'm going to need another seed tray for a vegetable that's more important than a flower, then that means we're going to have to do something else with those seed trays or turn them into a soil block or something like that. So this is how I do it. This is how I give myself a schedule of planting and a schedule of sowing, and this works really, really well for me. It helps keep me very organized between that, my lovely photo storage boxes, and my Johnny's catalog, and then just, again, transplanting information or even what the plant looks like. This is all helpful. The more you can do ahead of time to keep yourself organized, the better you'll be in the middle of the season when it's chaos and everything needs to go in at the same time and the greenhouse is completely full. It just makes your life a lot easier. So that's how I do that.